This is an introduction to addition and multiplication tables. Here we see an addition table. One clue that this is an addition table is in the upper left-hand corner. We can see right here there's a plus sign. That's how I know that this is addition rather than multiplication. It's important to look at the features of an addition table before we jump into how to solve it or fill it in. This addition table is organized in rows and columns. If you look at the columns, this is the column for 0. We have a column for 1, a column for 2, and a column for 3. We also have a row for 0, a row for 1, a row for 2, and a row for 3. When we're trying to fill in the missing numbers, we have to look both at the column and the row to figure out which two numbers to add. For example, when I go down the column for 0, I'm going to add 0 to each of these boxes. When I go down the column for 1, I'm going to add 1 to each of these boxes. The same for 2, and the same for column 3. The rows work the same way. When I go across, this is row 0, so I'm going to add a 0 to each of these. Same thing for row 1, row 2, and row 3. Let's fill in some of these missing numbers. If I look in the upper left corner and I want to fill in a sum for this box, I have to look at the row it belongs to as well as the column. This box is in column 0 and row 0. That tells me I have to add 0 plus 0. I know that 0 plus 0 is 0, so I'm going to fill in a 0 here. If I wanted to keep going across, let's say I wanted to figure out this box. Well, this box is still in row 0, so I know I'm going to do 0 plus something, but it's in column 1, so that tells me I have to do 0 plus 1. 0 plus 1, I know is 1. If I go across to the next box, again, it's still in row 0, so I'm doing 0 plus, if I look at the column, it's a 2. 0 plus 2 is 2, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in a 2. Now across for the next box, again, I'm still in row 0, so it's 0 plus, I look up at my column, 3. 0 plus 3, I know is 3. Let's go down to the next row. This row starts with a 1, so that's going to be the first number I'm adding for each box. It'll be 1 plus something, 1 plus another number, 1 plus this number, and 1 plus another number. If I look at this box, it's in row 1, column 0. So that tells me I'm going to add 1 plus 0. And I know 1 plus 0 is 1. When I look at the next box right here, it's still in row 1, so it's 1 plus, and here's column 1. So I know I'm going to do 1 plus 1. And I know that 1 plus 1 is 2. As I go across, I'm adding the number for the row and the number for the column that the box intersects with. So again, this box is in row 1, so it's 1 plus, and if I look at my column 2, 1 plus 2 I know is 3. In my next box, I have 1 plus column 3. That gives me 4. Again, I got that because this box is in row 1 and column 3, so I did 1 plus 3 to record my 4. Let's go down to the next one. So here, all of these boxes are in row 2, so it's going to be 2 plus, and I'm going to look at the columns to see what to add to that 2. So if I look at the first empty box, I have 2 plus 0. I know that's going to be 2. This one's still row 2, so 2 plus column 1, so 2 plus 1 is 3. Over here I have 2 plus column 2, that makes it 4. And then I have row 2, column 3, so 2 plus 3, I know is going to be 5. If I go down to my next row, all of these are going to be 3s. 3 plus whatever the number in the column is. So 3 plus 0 I know is 3. 3 plus column 1, that would be 4. 3 plus 2 I know is 5. And 3 plus 3 I know is 6. Now in this chart, I see that I have multiplication. I can tell that because in the upper left-hand corner there is a little multiplication sign. That tells me that the numbers in each row are going to be factors, along with the numbers in each column. Again, just like the addition table, each row we consider to go across. So we have rows of 1, rows with 2, and rows with the factor 3. Same with the columns. This column is going to have a factor of 1, this column will have a factor of 2, and this column will have a factor of 3. So when I look to find a missing number, I'm going to multiply the two factors, the factor for the row and the factor for the column. So if we look here at this missing box, it's in row 1 and column 1. That tells me I'm going to multiply 1 times 1. And I know that 1 times 1 is 1. When I look over at my next empty box, it's in row 1, so factor 1 is 1. The second factor is going to be 2. So to find this box, I'm going to multiply 1 times 2. And I know that 1 times 2 is 2. My next box is again right here, so it's in row 1, that's my first factor, column 3, second factor. So I'm going to multiply 1 times 3. When I multiply 1 times 3, my product is 3. If I go down to the next row, here I just look again at my row and my column. This tells me I'm going to multiply 2 times 1. I know that 2 times 1 is 2. When I move over to my next blank square, this one right here, again I look at row 2, column 2. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 2, which gives me 4. When I move over, again I'm in row 2, but now I'm in column 3. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 3, which gives me 6. Down in the last row, all of these are going to have a factor of 3 because they're in row 3. So my first box is going to be 3 times 1, which is 3. Next box is going to be 3 times 2 because it's in column 2, which is 6. And then finally I have 3 times 3, which I know is 9.